In a stunning rebuke to Meghan Markle and her behind-the-scenes conduct, streaming giant Netflix has decided to scrap the Duchess of Sussex's highly anticipated Invictus Games documentary over claims of incessant diva behavior that severely disrupted the production. Even more shockingly, the media behemoth is tapping Meghan's own royal relative, former rugby star Mike Tindall, to completely reshoot the project from scratch. The bombshell announcement, which sent shockwaves across the entertainment industry and royal watching circles alike, reportedly came down last Friday after months of simmering tensions between the former Suits actress and the Invictus Games documentary's production team over issues of editorial control, centric narratives, and alleged demands for flattering shot reframes. "We've simply reached the end of the road with Meghan's ability to remain objective and allow for a genuine documentary narrative to be captured," said an impeccably placed Netflix insider close to the project. Her litany of rigid rules and controlling self-centered behavior became entirely too overbearing and disruptive, to the point where the story of the games and incredible human warriors behind it became excessively subjugated to her personal PR directives. It defeated the entire purpose of this ever being an authentic cinematic experience from the very start. The source went on to detail how Meghan's repeated insistences on post-shoot footage reshoots, re-edits, bespoke lighting and camera angles, and even alleged selective editing notes proved to be an albatross to getting the documentary completed to Netflix's satisfaction. Her purported goal in asserting that level of authority over the creative process? Ensuring she emerged as the clear, inspirational focus and conquering hero of the story, irrespective of the realities on the ground. From demanding to reshoot whole segments and interviews countless times due to perceived bad lighting, to notes about making the triumphant moments of the actual veterans and competitors seem secondary to her own motivational role, it just became a toxic merry-go-round environment, the insider claimed exasperatedly. Multiple production and ad team veterans describe it as a nightmarish gig facing the most self-involved talent they've ever encountered. With the documentary now officially dead in the water after nearly a year of filming, Netflix decided to take the highly unorthodox step of completely restarting the project from square one, all while handing the reins over to a seemingly very unlikely new face, Mike Tindall, the former rugby pro married to Meghan's own royal cousin-in-law Zara Tindall. Mike, who previously appeared as a contestant on reality shows like The Jump and the U.K's hugely popular I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here series, was an ever-present face during the Invictus events while supporting his wife. And it was his apparent candor and relatability while dealing with the competing athletes and their families that allegedly prompted Netflix to take a flyer on him as its new host/producer. Mike just has this authentic, edgy charisma and was able to organically bond with the true stars of Invictus in a way that Meghan really struggled with, quite frankly, the source noted. The dudes from all service branches flocked to him like a magnet, probably because they could smell the BS factor from Meghan's camp instantly. With Mike, they felt they had a relatable advocate who could bring their stories to light without any ulterior motives. Not surprisingly, the news of Netflix completely retooling the entire Invictus documentary effort and ousting Meghan from creative controls has already sparked seismic rumbles across social media and the global royal commentariat. While some have hailed the streamer as finally taking a stand against the Duchess' alleged self-serving behavior, others have blasted the decision as a vicious, coordinated slight intentionally engineered to humiliate the polarizing figure. One of Meghan's most vocal supporters wasted no time in firing back at Netflix over the seismic snub. This is nothing but yet another example of a powerful white-led institution shamelessly disrespecting and trying to diminish a biracial woman of color when her truth and powerful presence proved too formidable and intimidating for their fragile sensibilities, declared author Shola Moshe, who has previously referred to the Duchess as an inspiring black role model. "I stand firmly with the Duchess and expect this streaming company to face a torrent of justified backlash for allowing ugly undertones of racism and jealousy to deprive the world of experiencing Meghan's talents and vision for this worthy project." Royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams, however, was far less equivocal in his assessment that Meghan, and no one else, deserved the blame for Netflix's calculated breakup. Let's be honest, her behavior as described here was simply unacceptable for a high-profile Hollywood production, let alone something representing the monarchy and military service, the veteran royal watcher bluntly declared. The entire purpose of the documentary was to highlight the incredible tenacity and resolve of the Invictus Games participants and competitors. But per usual, Meghan managed to make it entirely about herself and her own controlled motives. We've seen Netflix make aggressive swings in personnel and strategy before after lucrative projects and relationships turn sour, Fitzwilliams continued. But absolutely severing ties with someone as high-profile as Meghan speaks volumes about their level of frustration and refusal to accept the non-negotiable demands she imposed on the process. This very well may be a line in the sand for other potential production partners moving forward. Those potential impacts, however, could extend far beyond the former actress' own immediate career prospects and commercial positioning, particularly where it concerns her standing back home with the monarchy itself. For an institution already plagued by corrosive accusations of racism and obstructionism lobbed by the Duchess herself, getting pushed off yet another major public initiative in such stunning fashion is unlikely to help rehabilitate her already fractured relationships with the higher ranks of the firm. For Meghan to lose out on this enormously positive public platform that highlighted the inspirational courage of military veterans and competitors was an extremely unforced error, one that the palace simply won't let go unaddressed, surmised veteran royal author Christopher Anderson. Regardless of where fault ultimately lies, the optics of this situation are disastrous in how they reflect Meghan's conduct and judgment in a more sympathetic light, especially after all the furor she herself ignited about being marginalized and mistreated within the royal system. This opens her up to a whole new wave of credibility problems and headaches, without question. However, in wake of such a messy, high-profile parting of ways with the streamer, at least one vocal segment of Meghan supporters maintains that the highly telegenic Duchess deserves the benefit of the doubt over any perceived obstructionism. Some have even cheered on the prospect of Markle potentially partnering with a rival platform or studio for future projects. This could be the best thing to ever happen because it frees her from any corporate restraints or muzzles going forward, argued Los Angeles-based PR consultant Bobby Richards. Any outlet that can land Meghan's services now will immediately have the hottest commodity in Hollywood and an undeniable force for telling positive, uplifting stories without arbitrary limits or draconian oversight. More importantly, she'd finally have complete creative control to tell these kinds of inspirational stories in her own distinctive voice, one that has been sorely lacking from mainstream media for far too long now. But what about the man now handed the unenviable keys to writing the Invictus documentary ship after a year's worth of work was shelved? Surprisingly, Mike Tindall himself has issued no public comments regarding his new prominent role in the high-stakes Netflix project, with insiders citing his reticence to do any publicity that could be construed as piling on his controversial cousin-in-law. At the end of the day, Mike's not daft. He knows how this all looks and the obvious narrative that'll emerge if he doesn't handle this transaction delicately, said Hilary Fordwich, the former host of the Royally Obsessed podcast. The last thing he wants is for this to become weaponized into some offshoot of the endless Sussex drama, with Meghan painted as the arrogant American versus the chivalrous Brit. Still, Fordwich admitted this could represent a unique opportunity for Tindall to make an unexpected splash on the global production scene following his turns on British reality TV outings. The beauty here for Mike is that he already has the quintess.